Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone has had a happy Monday, that you had a great weekend, and you're ready for this week. I hope so, because it's already started, right? Going to give everybody just a moment to join us this evening, but thank you so much for continuing to join me every Monday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Facebook Live. I'm using my other app today, so hopefully everybody can hear me well. Give me a thumbs up. Let me see your hearts. Remember to comment in the chat and let me know who's here. Hey, Fan, I see you here. Thanks for joining. Hey, Christy, I see you're on with us as well. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all continuing to support Miss Council and the mission. What is the mission? To be happy. That's definitely the mission. That's always the mission. So thank you again so much for joining me tonight. We have another topic. Always, the topics are always evolving, and I appreciate the viewers who continue to support and give me ideas and say, hey, Miss Council, talk about this, or also the feedback. I appreciate the feedback on past shows. Just remember that you can always go onto my page, MISS Council, COUNCIL, Miss Council on Facebook, and I am Divorced HQ on Instagram. So you can always go out on Facebook on the Miss Council page and you can see the past videos. So please make sure that you're continuing to like, share, and post or repost or share the videos with people who may be interested in the topics that I'm talking about. We all know someone who's either divorced, contemplating it, or in that stage after divorce. And so we always know somebody. Everybody knows somebody, right? Whether it's 6 degrees of separation, but everybody knows somebody that might be in that situation. So please continue to share, and I appreciate you always supporting me. Well, y'all know, here we go again. I'm Miss Council, and you know that I am a relationship expert and life coach, and I help women who are divorced and remarried, help them get their lives back after divorce and help them have a more successful marriage. You know that I always say that happiness comes from within you. It doesn't come to you. So a relationship isn't necessarily what's going to make you happy. You have to find that happiness within yourself. So that's important. I always like to restate that. So let's get to it. So, last week's topic, I still do, but do you? I talked about marriage, and people get married every day and they take these vows and they talk about how, to death do us part, and I'm going to love, honor, cherish. But at some point in time, they may feel like, I still do, but my partner doesn't, or I really don't anymore. Maybe my partner still does, or my husband or my wife still does. And so I talked about, couples, they just might be moving in two different directions, and how do you deal with that? That's important, is understanding, where you are in your relationship and what you need to do to get where you want to get. Sometimes there's one person that's doing all of the work in the relationship. They feel like they're putting in 110%, and that other person's not putting in much. Remember, I always say that divorce is the only thing that's 50-50. A marriage is 100-100. You can't just put in some of the work some of the time. I think I said that last week, that, a car can't run on 50% of the tires. So you got to really put that work in. So I still do, but do you? So of course I gave a bunch of tips to help you figure it out. So I hope that you're applying some of those tips and sharing the message with people who may be in that same type of situation. So I appreciate, again, you always being here to support me on Monday and Thursday nights. And let's get to it. We just talked about the topic. I still do, but do you? Well, after you have, there's a lot of things that come before the I do's, right? But, I just talked about being happy within yourself. So after you've determined what your happiness looks like and you're happy within yourself, then you're ready to jump out there. Whether you are single, never been married, you've been divorced or whatever, you've got to get to that point before you start letting somebody else in. That's my opinion. That's what I say. You got to get to that point where you're happy. Because remember, I just said happiness comes from within you. It doesn't come to you. Hey, John, I see you're on. But before you jump out there and start to date, you have to determine, what is it that you're really looking for? What is it that you want in a relationship or from a mate? What is it that you want? So before you get to the I do, you're in the process of choosing. You're choosing a mate. You got to get to know that person. That's a lot. That can be a whole lot. I've been there. I was there for a long time. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I was there for a really long time. I was divorced for 12 years before I remarried. So I was there for a long time. So I feel you. I feel you out there. Hey, Rosa. See you're on. Thanks for joining. So tonight's topic is for those of you who are looking for a mate. I want to tell you to choose wisely and to choose carefully. The life you save just might be your own. Choose wisely and choose carefully. Have you ever, by chance, run into an ex? You might be walking through the mall. You might be at a kid's football game. You might even be in the gym working out. And you just happen to run into them. Or have you been on social media and seen one of their posts or somebody else posted about them? And you think to yourself, whew, I dodged a bullet. Anybody out there know what I'm talking about? I dodged a bullet. Y'all comment. Y'all drop it in the comments. Y'all know I like it when you interact with me with the comments. Tell me what your thoughts are. Have you had that situation before? I have. There's some lessons in life that we should have learned from our past mistakes, the interactions we've had, the relationships. They say when you know better, you do better. But y'all know we don't. We don't always apply what we've learned in the past. And we keep having to learn those same lessons over and over and over again, right? There are things that we should know when we're choosing a mate. Just in case you didn't learn it from your past mistakes. I want to make sure that you know it. I want to make sure that you know it. So let's talk about some of those things. Hey, Keith, thanks for joining. Let's talk about some of those things that you probably should have learned from the past when you're choosing a mate. One of the first things we look for, what's that first thing we look for when choosing a mate? Anybody? Y'all know what it is? It's attraction. Now, I know some of you out there going to say, well, no, I'm not looking. It's not what a person looks like. Yeah, but I know it's some shallow hounds out there. Yeah, myself included. And, hey, we've all gone head first and like, okay, it's about what somebody looks like. They smell good. They dress nice. They got a nice car. They got a nice job. We attracted to the superficial, right? Oh, I guess I'm the only one. Okay, excuse me. But what are we looking for in a mate? Because, everything that looks good ain't good for you. Somebody's grandmama has said that. Everything that look good ain't good for you. All right, shallow how. So, we've heard all these cliches, all these sayings. Looks can be deceiving. They can. You have to choose a mate based on several different factors. And I want you to know that just attraction, that ain't gonna cut it. They say that, beauty fades. Is one of the things that I can think of that they say. Those are one of those sayings where, hey, that person may not always be a size 7 and work out and be fit and have washboard abs, or hey, they could get it that car may be wrecked, so it may not even be be what it is now. They might not be driving the latest Tesla. um, but there's several factors that you're going to have to consider, other than just attraction. And attraction is physical, but it does have something to do with familiarity. And I want y'all to consider that. So when you're choosing a mate, you want to consider your basic needs, your basic relationship needs. We know we have our basic needs in life, food, water, shelter, but there's some basic relationship needs. And I'm going to throw some of them out here and talk about them. But that doesn't mean that that's the end all be all. It doesn't even mean that they're some of mine, but there's some that I thought of when thinking of basic relationship needs. So I want you to be jotting some down. Drop them in the comments. What are some of your basic relationship needs? I hear you, Rosa. I told you this topic was going to be for my people who are looking. So basic relationship needs. Time. See, I need time. See, I'm telling on myself I need time. But when you're thinking about your basic relationship needs and you're looking for a mate, hey, how much time do you have to put into the search, the pursuit, to getting to know them, talking on the phone, having virtual dates or whatever it is that people are doing nowadays? How much time do you have? And what are you expecting from them in the way of time? What are you looking for? You have to ask yourself that. Remember, I'm talking about when you're choosing your mate, what are your basic needs? What are your basic relationship needs? So when it comes down to a relationship, we know relationship is more so we think of a relationship as, once y'all are together, y'all going steady, y'all talking. It's just, it's just the two of y'all, whatever it is that you want to call it. But it's the relationship. Now, we're not talking about in the marriage, but we're talking about the relationship. So how much time are you expecting out of a relationship with a person? What is it that you're looking for? Again, we're talking about in choosing a mate. What you want? That good old list that they say that we all have out there that's probably just in our head. What is it that we're looking for? Respect. Again, we're talking about basic relationship needs. Basic relationship needs, again, yours is going to be different. Everybody's is going to be different, but I want you to consider those things. That's your homework for the night. I see Christy dropped in the comments. Good initial communication. Ooh, y'all know I like the word communication. I feel like I need to ring a bell. Ding, ding, ding. Communication. I that's important. Fan says someone to listen. All right, Georgette. Hey, thanks for joining. Romance. Good points. All good points, because all of those things are what you need in a relationship. And you see, we've got 3 different people with 3 different comments and what it is that they need. Where are my men at? Man, what are your basic relationship needs? I want you to drop it in there. We got some men on with us tonight. Drop it in there. We want to hear from you guys as well. What are some of your basic relationship needs when you're considering someone as a mate? So let's talk about respect. What is it that you're expecting? In a way of respect. Is respect something that you just give, or is it something that's earned? It all depends on who you talk to, because people have different, varying of views on that. What it is. I'm one of those people. I believe respect is earned. It's not given out of the gate. But again, that's my personal opinion, but everybody feels differently. But you've got to know what it is that you want. Remember, we're talking about choosing wisely our mates. All right. So we got a man who has said intelligence. All right, Keith. Intelligence is a basic relationship need. I'm with you on that, big brother. I need somebody that's intelligent. We're going to talk about why in a minute. But going back to respect, is mutual respect something that's desired? Does the door swing both ways? I think that's important because sometimes if you don't expect respect, it may not be what you receive. People, you have to teach people how to treat you, how to talk to you. And so, help them, they have to understand what it is that you need. What it is that you need. Values are another thing. Values are another one of those basic needs in a relationship you have to be able to identify. Religious values, there's so many different values. There are different values out there. I'm laughing because Rosa asked Keith, are you sure Intelligence. All right. We won't get in a battle today. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's back up. Okay, I see Willie's on. Thanks for joining, cuz. Caring and loving. All right. I'm so glad that the men are speaking up. So intelligence and caring and loving are things that are basic needs that these men said that they're looking for. Thanks, guys, for chiming in. Ladies, you heard it here first. But values, let's get back to values and religious values. There's so many different religions that are out there. Is it important? Can you be in a relationship with somebody who is Muslim and you're Christian? Is that possible? I know that it does happen, but I'm talking to the group that's here today. Is that something that would be willing to pursue and also possibly convert? Would that be something you'd be willing to do? So you've got to think about those things. What about their principles? What about their standards of behavior? One of my things is I and people who know me know I don't like when somebody goes out and they act up. I'm not eating the whole steak and then telling them it was cooked wrong. I'm just not that person, or finding something wrong with the dish so that we don't have to pay for it, or being mean to the waitress. That's not who I am. So understanding who it is, what are their values, or what are their standards of behavior. If they go around and cuss everybody out, hey, remember that if you're in a relationship, that person represents you. So think about those things. Remember, we're choosing wisely, and we're thinking about what it is that we want to make. Do they have good judgment? Can they make decisions? Now, listen, that goes for male and female. There's some people out there can't make decisions, and much less we're not going to talk about whether those are good or bad decisions. But some people just cannot even make a decision. So I want you to consider those things. Remember, we're learning how to choose wisely, choose carefully, because the life you save might be your own. Relationship goals. What are your relationship goals? Remembering, we're talking about choosing a mate. Now, what if you don't want to get married and you don't want to have children, but you meet somebody who wants that? How do you deal with that? So you want to make sure that you are clear on what it is that you want and you're able to verbalize that. That's important. Maybe you want a long-term relationship and not a marriage. There are people out there who have successful relationships who are not legally married. They do exist. I know somebody. So that's what they choose. That's what they're choosing. But I'm still saying, choose wisely, choose carefully. That's important, and having those conversations and understanding what it is that they want. There's nothing worse than, especially when it comes down to having children, for it to be one-sided, because we know that it takes two to make a baby and to take care and to raise kids. You want to have that good relationship, and you don't want the other person taking the kids for granted. Or taking you for granted, or not being happy to have children. Children are a blessing from God, but not everybody sees it that way. They may look at them as a burden if they didn't want them. So I'm just saying, choose wisely, choose carefully. Life you save may be your own. It's very important when it comes down to the question of relationship goals, when I'm asking about children. If you want to have children. A funny story. So when my husband and I were talking in the beginning, and he said, well, do you want more kids? I'm telling the story, so it's my version, the way I remember it. Y'all know, I told you my husband is always nearby when I'm doing these videos, so he's over here laughing. So according to Miss Counts, so the way the conversation went, he said, okay, well, do you want to have more children? Because we each have children. Do you want to have more children? He's like, so I said, well, it depends on the man that I marry. And so I'm open to having more children. He said, well, you should go find that man that wants some more children. I was like, oh, okay. It was the right answer. I was younger then. I still was considering it. But he was like, yeah, you should go find somebody who wants to have some more children. He was like, nah, I'm not him. But he let me know what those goals were early on, so that I was nowhere thinking like I was going to wait till I was 40 and have another kid. That was not in his plan. That wasn't what he really wanted. So, these are conversations that you have to have ahead of time, because what if he misled me and here I am thinking, oh, I'm going to be 40 years old and I'm going to have another baby. I thought we were on the same page. And he's like, nah, I'm done. So we had those conversations early on. So I was pretty clear from the door that he did not want to have more children. But I think it's very important to have, to know what it is that you want in a relationship, and to be able to have those discussions. That doesn't mean that you trying to marry that person tomorrow, but it's just why, I won't call it waste your time, but why spend your time with somebody who doesn't align with your goals? You got to choose wisely, especially when it comes down to children, because what if somebody says they don't want children, but you have children already? Ain't that a problem? I mean, I'm over here, single mother of one, and what if my dude came in and was like, I don't want no children, and so I would have to be like, oh, so you don't want any more, just the one that I have? Oh no, I don't want no children. So that means that you don't want my kid. That's a whole problem for me. Again, that's my personal preference. We a package deal. You can't get one without the other. So, choose wisely, choose carefully. Let's go to the chat. Let's see. Keith responded, said, gotta be smart enough to understand relationship, commitment, love, and etc. All right. Okay. Rosa said, it's hard telling men I don't want children. But you know what though? And so Rosa's saying it's a major deal breaker for some people. But you know what? It is for some people, but not everybody wants children. Not everybody wants children. So that's important. I see we got Nina up in here. Hey girl, hey. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for joining. So listen, deal breakers. Hey, your deal breakers are just important as those things that are on your list. So I say you still got to have a list of non-negotiables. I need to do a show about that, because non-negotiables are important when setting boundaries in relationships. So you have to know what you do want, but you also got to know what you don't want and be able to verbalize that. That's what I want for y'all. Be able to verbalize it, because you don't want to end up with something that you don't want. Y'all, I'm allergic to walnuts and almonds. So for some strange reason, they throw almonds off in weird places. It might be in a salad, it might be in some green beans. So I have to ask the question sometimes, are there almonds in there? Are there almonds, or are there nuts? If I wanted to get a dessert at a restaurant, I have to ask if there are nuts in there, because it ain't gonna go well. So you ask the questions. It may be uncomfortable, but you have to ask the question, and it's all in how you ask the question. It's all in how you bring it up. And so in that situation, I'm a customer talking to a server and letting them know that, hey, I'm not, I can't have this, or asking the question, are there almonds in this? I'm allergic, or I'm allergic to XYZ. That's me communicating what my basic needs are. And most servers will say, hey, no, you got to stay away from this. You got to stay away from that. Or I've had times when they say, oh, I don't know. Let me go and find out. So that is my, I like to do these analogies. So that's my analogy. You've got to present the problem, or you've got to present what it is that your needs are and what it is that you want. Let the person process it, and let them know, and let them determine if they want to address it. Now, in a situation where I'm allergic to almonds, there's no question, it's got to be addressed, because as soon as I bite into it, I'm going to know, because my throat will close up. So I already know. No more questions to really be asked. Let's see, we got some things popping up in the chat. Mr. Counsel, I'm going to mute you in a minute. Hair bond is before 9 p.m., deal breaker. Well, what if they have worked hard all day and they're doing their wind down routine at 7 p.m. And they're in their bonnets getting ready for bed for the night? That's before 9 p.m. Y'all, he tripping. So Rosa said she's okay with her partner having children. She just doesn't want to birth any. And you know what? I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's perfectly fine because that is you know yourself. So you're okay with them having children. You gonna help raise them? That's what I'm asking. That question's for you, Rosa. Are you gonna help raise if your partner already has children? Because that's for men and for women, because we come into ready-made families sometimes, and I have 3 additional kids. My husband became the father to my daughter, so raising kids is a big deal and can be a deal breaker. Conversations that have to be had. Y'all got to choose wisely. I want y'all to think about it. There's nothing wrong with having a list. There's nothing wrong with it. I thought you would say yes, Rosa. They need to the kids need to have some of that greatness in their lives, honey. You'll be an awesome mother. So let's talk about some other things. Personal goals. Again, I'm talking about choosing wisely. Choosing these mates wisely, okay? Because once you're with them, it's kind of difficult. Some people have challenges, I'll say, in getting out of relationships. Oh, I should probably talk about that one day, huh? It's difficult. And hey, I've experienced that in the past. It's hard to break up with somebody when you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. So we want to talk about these things early on, and we want to choose carefully, right? We want to choose wisely so that when we see these issues that we already knew were going to be an issue for ourselves, we are able to avoid them and make a left turn real quick and not be involved in that relationship. Personal goals. Before I get to that, let me tell y'all about this movie we watched this weekend. And it was Reese Witherspoon. Was it the movie with Reese Witherspoon? No, it was another movie. It was another movie. It had Jay Farrow in it. We watched a couple movies this weekend. And they went out on a blind date. What was the name of the movie? I don't remember. But they went out on a blind date. And on the blind date, as soon as the lady sat down, she started talking and rambling and all this stuff, talking about her ex. And on the phone, before they went out on the blind date, they talked about having an automatic out. That means if you see that person or there's something that's said and you don't like it, then you can take your automatic out. And so when the lady sat down and she started talking and rambling about her ex, and it was like really going bad really quickly, the guy just said, you know what? No. I think they had just ordered drinks. He said, you know what? No, I'm using my automatic out. And that meant that he was going to get up from that table and leave. And he did. Have to think about what that movie was called. But it was a cute movie. It really was. But it made me think about it. When you have these conversations, Desperados. Thank you, Christy. That was a good movie on Netflix. It was a good movie. It was really cute. And everything. So y'all check that one out. But there was an automatic out. And you know what? I thought that was a great idea. I wish I had an automatic out, a white flag, the wave or something on some of these dates I've been on in the past. And as much screening as I called myself doing before going out with these people, I still was like, sometimes seeing them in person and hearing the words come out of their mouths, it was like, ooh, what have I gotten myself into? I'm looking at my watch like, ooh, I got to pick my child up from the babysitter at a certain time. I started limiting my time on dates. I'm like, I got 2 hours so that I can have my automatic out. But this is brilliant, y'all. Automatic out. So, hey, I want y'all to have that automatic out and set that up when you're out here dating and you're choosing carefully. If you hear something, you see something that you don't like, say, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for your time. I don't want to take any more of your time, and find a way to say, I just don't think it's going to work out between us, and move on. And don't say we're going to be friends. That's a whole different show. Because, my book that I have, my current project that I'm working on is Dating After Divorce. Working on that one, writing that one out, because I need to I need to put some things down on paper for y'all because I've been through it. So let's get back to it. Remember, we're choosing wisely. Personal goals. What direction is this person headed in their lives? Y'all, you name it, I've met them. Some people who will tell you that they're ambitious, that they about to go to flight school and become a pilot. They'll tell you anything to hold your interest. But what are they doing? If somebody's saying they're going to be a pilot, are they even enrolled in school? You ain't got to ask them questions to trip them up. But just in regular conversation, if something don't meet up, if they say they're afraid of heights and the last time they flown was when they were 2 years old, and some ain't adding up. Some ain't right in the mixture. Are they ambitious? I'm just saying, I've met quite a few people that are not ambitious at all. So they don't understand me being ambitious. So if you're an ambitious person, then, somebody who is not, who's just okay with sitting on the sidelines and not making any moves in their own lives, that might be a struggle for them to understand why you're constantly burning the candle at both ends, or why you have so many different projects that you're working on. You might be writing a book or trying to better yourself, taking some exercise class, you're researching, studying abroad, whatever it is that you're doing. If they don't have any ambition, they might not understand yours, is what I'm saying. Do they match your drive? I'm just saying, it's a lot of people out there who are willing to ride your coattails. I met them. They're willing to ride your coattails, the coattails of your success, and not do anything other than slow clap. You did so good. I'm so proud of you. But what are they doing to really be supportive? Do you get opportunity to support them? Are they doing anything great? I'm just saying, do they match your drive? If that matters to you, because it may not matter to you. It matters to me. I just want to let y'all know. Compatibility is very important. Excuse me. It's very important, but you have to determine if it's something that matters to you. I think overall, what I've talked about is compatibility and values and personal goals and drive. Those are the things that you have to really consider. Do you want someone as a mate who shares some of what you like? That's what I want you to think about. Do they like the same movies? Do they want to work out with you? You feel like you want to better yourself. If you want to go on a certain eating plan, I don't like calling them diets, but if you want to eat a certain way, if you want to try the Mediterranean diet, or if you want to try keto, are they right there with you, or are they eating the cowboy sirloin in your face when you decided not to eat meat? I'm just asking, are y'all compatible? Think about those things. What about politics? That can be a touchy topic to sit around the table and talk, especially during this season. Is that something that y'all are compatible on? We've already talked about religion. I mean, think about some of those things. Choose wisely. You want to choose carefully. Let's see. Christy says the automatic out is a great idea. I think it is too. I promise you. Y'all will hear that from me again. Rosa says I need to do that. Everybody needs that automatic out. Nina says, girl, me too. I married and divorced them. Yeah, when you find out, and listen, that might not be something you find out about a person until years later. That representative is that person is that person who really shows up to get what they want. You got to choose carefully, because when you find out who they really are, then that's when you can be able to proceed in a relationship. Because if you don't know who you're dealing with, you don't know who you're sleeping next to. That's a big thing. You got to know. You don't know if that person's, crazy. They're going to put a pillow over your head, or they're going to get up in the morning and make you breakfast. I mean, I don't know. You got to know who you're talking to. So I say choose carefully. Watch out for that representative, because only time and conversations and actions. Oh, I'm big on actions. Actions will tell you exactly who that person really is. So pay attention. Got to choose carefully, y'all. Choose wisely. The life you save may be your very own. Y'all don't think these are life-saving things. You don't want to spend your time in your life dealing with somebody who just isn't really for you, or you may not be for them. There's the flip side of it. I've heard this saying, this quote in so many different ways. Believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. Edgar Allan Poe, but I believe Outkast said it at some point in time in one of their songs. Um, Believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. You know, people say, "I'll take you at your word." You know, I'll take you at your word, but when if and when your actions don't match that, that's a whole problem, right? You know, look closely, and that was a different topic from a couple weeks ago. At their relationships with their family, you know, they always say, you know, ladies, look to see what the relationship a man has with his mother. Mm-hmm. You know, look at the relationship. Is there a good relationship with his mother, or is he your mama's boy? Ladies, the same thing. You know, some women are very close to their mothers. They don't make a decision without them. Their mama all up in their relationship and their houses. I'm just saying, check those relationships. You good with it? I'm good with it. Check out their anger management skills. You know, some people don't know how to have a conversation without getting mad. Hey, again, if you're good with you, these are things that you want to look at when you're choosing wisely. You know, I talked about their future goals. You know, you're choosing a mate. You know, what is it that you're looking for in a person? Their future goals. Hey, tell me about yourself. What do you see yourself in? What's your short-term goal? What's your long-term goal? What are your plans in order, to meet that? Nina says some people will test your spirit. They will test your spirit trying to see who you really are, won't they? What are their likes and what are their dislikes? You know, I'm not talking about they don't like broccoli, because that means you just don't that they just don't get none on their plate. But I'm saying, what are their likes and what are their dislikes? Because it could be something that is a deal breaker for you. What if they say, "Well, I don't like women who wear wigs," and wigs are your thing. He met you wearing a wig, okay? But he says, I don't like wigs. And so, I know some people who that's their thing. They got wigs, they named them, and everything. That's their thing. So are you really compatible if something like that has to change? Rose said bye with an exclamation point. You're right. So I want you all to think about that. Choose wisely. That's what we're talking about tonight. Choose wisely and choose carefully. Y'all know I always got tips for you. I've talked about a lot tonight, but there's some things that I want to highlight that I want to make sure that you remember. If you don't remember nothing else I said, know what you want. It ain't nothing worse than going through the drive-through of a burger restaurant and you sit over here looking at it. You know they either sell one or two meats, burger or chicken, and they probably sell salad. Which one do you want? Know what you want. Don't be sitting there at the speaker box for 10 minutes trying to figure it out. You know what you want before you go into that conversation, because you're going to get some of everything. Hey, y'all, I have done it. I did online dating for some years. And you know what? I had to keep refining my profile because I was like, I don't know what this mess is that keep coming to my inbox. Let me change this thing up. And so I ain't going to go over some of the things that I put in there. I'll put that in my book, Dating After Divorce. So I'll tell you about the comedy that was my life for the longest. But know what you want. When you know what you want, when you see that, it's easy to identify, but you can also weed out those things that you don't want. And you can be honest with a person from the beginning, especially when it comes down to having children and not having children. Get to know that person. Get to know that person. Y'all have heard me say it 11 times. I'm going to say it again. You've got to allow a person to go through some seasons. You've got to go through some seasons with them. And so what I mean is you might have to flip the calendar a couple of times. Let me get to we're in summer. Let's get to fall. Let's turn the calendar over to 2021 when, outside hopefully reopens, and see how this person acts, give them some time. But also, I mean, getting to know this and getting to know them and letting them go through some seasons in their lives. You know, there's a lot of job loss going on right now, layoffs, furloughs, and people losing their jobs due to the pandemic. But there are also people when they've had loss of loved ones, when things just don't go their way. That's a season, and you allow time for them to go through it, and you see how they act. Just sit back and see how they act. Like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry to hear that. You be supportive and everything, but I want you to pay attention. Remember, we're talking about you choosing wisely. So you've got to pay attention to that good old information that's being given to you. It's free. Just listen and pay attention. Hopefully that person's opening up and talking to you, but they also could shut down. Sometimes people go through stuff and they shut down and don't want to talk to you. It may not even be about you, but they're ghosting. They're not answering your calls. And you're knocking on their door. Whatever it is, you're trying to be there for them, but they won't allow that. That's a season in their life, y'all. And if they're going through it and they don't want you to go through it with them, or they don't want to clue you into what's going on, pay attention. That's all I'm going to say about that. My next tip is don't settle. I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it again. Don't settle. And I know it's hard for my single people out here, especially my single women. You feel like you don't know what the next wind is going to blow in, but don't settle. Whatever it is that your basic relationship needs are, write them down. Make your list. Know what it is. Because remember, my first tip was know what you want. So knowing what you want means not just accepting anything. You know, I'm not going to accept a salad with some almonds on it because I know what I want, but I also know the result of eating something that I'm allergic to. So y'all need to become allergic to anything that's not a part of your basic needs or that are some of your non-negotiables. Be allergic to anything that's your non-negotiable when it comes down to a relationship. Y'all can quote me on that. Don't settle. You know, if you want to have kids and that person doesn't, guess what? You're not going to change their minds. Or if they do, they may resent you for having that baby. I'm just saying, don't settle, because there'll be somebody out there that will. There always is. And my last tip. This gonna cut deep for some of y'all, but that's all right. Be somebody worth choosing. I'm talking to y'all. Be somebody worth choosing. Don't be expecting a whole lot of stuff out of somebody else, but you ain't got your life together. Be somebody worth choosing. And if you ain't there, return to step one. You know, the one where I started out talking about finding happiness within yourself. Start back there. Because that's where you got to go. Back to the beginning. Because happiness is within you. You're not going to find happiness in somebody else. Go back to step one. Be worth choosing. I ain't saying y'all trash, but I'm saying get yourself together so that you have something to offer somebody else, so that you can expect greatness. I said it. And I'm not going to apologize if I hurt y'all feelings. So I'm going to leave you with this. Use your heart and your brain to choose your mate wisely. You know, even a cake that has fallen is still good. It still tastes good. While the prettiest cake in the bakery was made with salt instead of sugar. Choose wisely. The life you could save, it just might be your own. You could just dodge a bullet. Y'all, I thank y'all so much for joining me tonight, for your participation. You all are a blessing to me, and I appreciate you continuing to join and support. Please like and share this post. If you're interested in the divorce support group for women only, if you're divorced or remarried, join Divorced Like Us. You only have to answer 2 questions to get in. I am one of the moderators, and I will be reviewing your request to join, but it's a support group, Divorced Like Us, on Facebook. Y'all know I'm Miss Counsel, and Miss Counsel knows a little bit about everything. I ain't telling you what I heard, but I'm telling you what I know. Y'all have a good night, and I will see you again here Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Y'all have a blessed night.